Today we're going to talk about machine learning and what does machine learning really mean. Machine learning is one of the most significant technological advancements in recent history. It's experiencing incredible growth and innovators are making breakthroughs in ways that no one could have ever expected. Because of this, machine learning has changed and will continue to change a lot over the coming years. You're probably familiar with the buzzword, but the fact remains that many people can't really answer the question of what machine learning is and what it isn't, and that's okay. In this video today, we'll talk about what machine learning really means, how it's changed over the years, and where we think it might go in the future. What is machine learning? Well, machine learning is really a process where you use algorithms to parse data, learn from it, and make a prediction. And in our case, the machine is really a computer or a server somewhere in the cloud. For example, if you have an iPhone and you look at your photos, you can label your pet, your child, partner, or friend in one of your pictures. Then you'll notice that Apple Photos is able to go back through your album and label all of the other photos with that person, animal, pet, partner in there. You can also search for terms like cake or beach through the rest of your photos, and you'll notice you'll also get results for that. That's machine learning on the back end. Machine learning is not where you have a whole bunch of people manually going through photos, and it's not really just someone manually putting in a statistical model back there. The machine or the computer is actually learning about the data that you have. It's an automated process, and the data is like a black box to the machine. The machine takes that data, dumps it into different models, and tries to come up with the best possible answer. So the machine doesn't really care whether it's exploring weather data or photos of your cat. Well, how does that really work? Well, really within machine learning, there's three different types of machine learning. There's supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Supervised learning is where you give the computer labeled data. For example, you have a whole data set full of images of cats and dogs, and you give the machine or the computer that data set, and the machine learns to identify cats versus dogs. Then you give the machine a photo that isn't labeled and ask it to identify it as a cat or a dog, and it learned from the labeled data, here's what a cat looks like and here's what a dog looks like. And it's able to use the algorithms to do that, and maybe a little bit of human intervention. Unsupervised learning is where the data is unlabeled. Take, for example, instead of giving the machine a bunch of images of cats and dogs, you leave those images unlabeled and you ask the computer to look for patterns in those images. Then you can come up with a way to sort and identify the data, and it really starts to look at patterns. And you might see it put aside different images based on color or structure of the animal in the photo. Reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning is much like playing a video game. In a video game, you as a user goes through a level and you get a reward at the end or a badge before proceeding to the next level. Well, with reinforcement learning, the automation and our algorithms attempt to find the most optimal way to accomplish a task. And when the machine or the algorithm does well, it moves on to the next task, and it continues to try and get better each time. And machine learning is not actually a recent thing. It's actually been around since the 1950s, and we had the concept of a computer that could play checkers, and that evolved over time. And it's become more and more complex and smarter as we go. So what's next? You know, we've gone from computers being able to play a game against a human to labeling a whole bunch of data sets. And data is a huge thing right now. Well, machine learning is becoming more commonplace and towards a direction of getting more information about the data itself. I had a recent conversation with Jason Burke of Creo, and he's got a ton of experience in this field. And he said one of the biggest problems in this space is not the math, it's really the cleaning of the data and the context around the data. So if you can imagine, you get a bunch of data back, but you're like, well, if I took the temperature of a person, was this in the daytime? Was it in the evening? Were they under stress? Were they under stress? What was going on with that individual? And we talked about machine learning, the data is a black box. Well, it doesn't know, it doesn't have any context about that data. So we need to figure out how to combine the context of data along with machine learning to make things a little bit smarter and also have better data cleaning processes. So we believe we'll see advancements in this area in the coming years very quickly. plus more user-friendly platforms where almost anybody can sit down and use data science and machine learning to help predict models and make things better in their world. So machine learning will undoubtedly continue to disrupt every industry. So the question is, how are you going to use machine learning to make an impact in your company, industry, or the world?